And it's brought to you by guess who, John? Tito's Handmade Vodka. All right, so what does Trey Lance have going for him? I mean, I think that's a part of this discussion is like what puts him in position to succeed if this is really going to turn into, like you said, pads don't come on until Monday, so we'll see what this turns into. But if this is going to turn into something, why could it work? And part of it, right, is a big part of it is that this is not a team that's built around making the quarterback do everything. It starts with the coach, but also from a personnel standpoint, he just has help, potentially.
Well, he has help, but gets back to the funny picture of Mac Jones in number 50 at Patriot Camp. And the reason that this podcast was adamant, now granted, I would say all of the internet did not want Mac Jones as the Niner, but a huge reason for anyone that had like a well thought out take on the situation was physically his ability was limited. So you would bring him, like if he was here and what he's doing in New England, it's like, can he outthink everybody? That was going to be what he hung his hat on. Can he outthink him? So right away, Trey Lance is like, well, he can just do things that the other guy can't do. So right away, they add Alex Mack, they add Aaron Banks. They had two running backs that they're already rotating with the ones right away, that you make it easier in the run game. And then he can also run with them. Like, can you input some throwback RG3 type plays from like 2011 with these guys and the running backs? Like, that's, to me, Kyle's already coached that. Like you said, one curveball that Kyle has, his offense has been very specific, right, for the last post RG3. He's like, God, I don't want to do that at all. And then I think he's realized that when you go all in, because listen, like you had Matt Ryan, but for the most part, it was Hoyers, Jimmy's. Like it wasn't guys as good as that you needed some guys to make plays with their feet. And just like you said, not even running past the line of scrimmage, just keeping plays alive behind the line of scrimmage with then the threat, like nothing's there, take off, get me 10 and keep the chains moving. That he immediately can just add, like he's a part of the running game. Like Jimmy hands the ball off, which you could say the greatest quarterback of all time. Tom's not a part of the running game, right? Or Peyton never was. Now where they hang their hat is like their play action fakes are incredible, right? But that's just they are no threat to run. So it actually really shows in this modern game how great those guys are in the pocket. Like Jimmy's just not, right? Jimmy's just an average NFL starting quarterback, which again, 18 to 12 on a given day, right? Sometimes he's 12, sometimes he's 18. When you can run your off days, and this is what you say, like Kyler Murray, it's clear how just his physical attributes, when he's even off throwing the ball, he can just, if he gets you 60 or 70 yards on that given game with his legs, I mean, guy, that might be 5 first downs. Where when Jimmy's off throwing the ball, like you might go 3 and out 2 or 3 extra times that you wouldn't have with the Kyler is even the high end, but just a Deshaun, whoever, just a Josh Allen, a Mahomes, who can just keep like, oh, nothing's there. It's what Gruden really like. Derek, I need you to add, like you ran a 4.75, like you can move a little bit, run. I don't want you running every play, but look to extend plays with your legs. I really think that's kind of where it gets overstated a little bit in sports like baseball, basketball, and football. This is where we're going. This is where we're going. Because I think we always want to jump at that opportunity. Sometimes it's clear, right? In baseball, home runs, just swinging for the fences, strikeouts aren't that big a deal. In basketball, it's a three-pointer.
It's basketball. It's also, well, is it bad if your 6'10 guys can run and shoot in addition to standing around the basket and blocking shots?
I think people are really, really looking for it. And you just see the quarterbacks that are consistently coming out, guys who are athletic at the quarterback position. Now, granted, that's just kind of what college – the number one overall pick, really I'd say the two best prospects, wouldn't you say, the last decade, Luck and Lawrence. They're known as great quarterbacks, but a huge part of their game are their legs.
Yeah, and right? Is it just as simple as 15 years ago, less kids who were 6'5", if they were the tallest person at their high school – dribbled. They put them under the basket, post up, get some rebounds, block some shots. Then the game changes. People evolve. Coaches start letting their tall player dribble and handle the ball outside of the key and shoot if they're able to. And then you start working on those skills as a 10-year-old when you're tall and a 12-year-old when you're tall and a 30. And your most athletic player doesn't have to be your receiver, your running back, right? We already got a quarterback. Why don't we put this athletic kid out here? We go, no, running is a bigger part of the quarterback game, so we can utilize him more as a. And now there's just more of those guys. You're right. It's absolutely been. It's not like GMs are sitting around going, there's only 5 of these guys. Let's only find those 5. I think there is a bigger pool to choose from. Now, at the end of the day, the one thing that has not changed, there's just a finite number of elite quarterbacks.
Yeah, you still have to be able to make that throw on 3rd and 9 with a guy coming at you.
But
right,
I think one thing that's happened, and this is not so much about Trey, what we're talking about here, but this is more about Jimmy. But because Jimmy's been hurt so much, there is sometimes what is said is, well, remember, health is his number one issue. And I've been very pro Jimmy over the years. I think I speak for myself. I definitely have. I thought he was about to take a massive step a couple of years ago. But let's not forget that it's not all been smooth when he was healthy either. Last year, the season started, he was healthy and did not look great. Now, as you pointed out, historically not been he has not started seasons well. But before he got hurt last year, we were having a conversation about whether or not he was getting better or regressing. Now, it happened for like a week and a half 2 weeks, because then he got hurt. But I think that gets forgotten sometimes, and maybe that's more from a national level. Maybe you weren't as in the weeds with him as maybe the people who are around it watching every day are. But this is not just a health issue. This is also a performance issue. So I know it's easy but whatever. None of that matters. Trey Lance is on the team now, so it's irrelevant. But the other thing, and you sent this to me, and I read this as well, if he's going to run a little bit, the offensive line this year, Barrows wrote about the weights of this offensive line this year. Trent Williams, 328. McGlinchey's added 25 pounds to 315 or 320. Alex Mack, the center's at 311. Aaron Banks is at 325. So this is it's a beefier group in front of him. Now, that potentially helps Jimmy more as well. But if Trey's going to run the ball a little bit, this ain't a bad thing.
Well, and, you and I have done videos, and obviously, everyone watched Trey Sermon. He is a big back. Elijah Mitchell, who probably not as many people have seen, I think you'll see him immediately in the preseason games. He runs. I'm fascinated to see him in person.
Yeah.
But he runs like a violent back. Like, to me, they clearly, and this is, I would say a defining attribute of this offense, and it carries over to all the guys. Like, it starts with the Shanahan family, but LaFleur, they drafted A.J. Dillon last year. Remember, after part of the reason, Aaron, there was so much anger at the draft, it wasn't just Jordan Love. Their second pick was a running back. He's huge, A.J. Dillon. They want to smash you. The Rams, they ideally want to run the ball. The Niners want to pound
the Browns
the ball.
I know it's not a NFC West team, but
Stefanski, he runs the offense.
Yep.
They want to slam it down your throat. The Vikings now have really run the scheme with Kirk Cousins. They have Dalvin Cook and forget the guy's name. He actually just graduated. I saw from Boise State. Someone sent me the video. The dude from Boise State, he's like their 3rd round pick a couple years ago. He runs his ass off, number 25. He's a good player. So I think his last name starts with an M. But a violent running game is a huge element to help the quarterback out, especially when the quarterback is a runner.
I'm looking for your guy.
Number 25.
You know what's going to happen if Trey Lance, at some point in time when Trey Lance plays, we're going to have a conversation, John. And it's going to come up because he's going to be effective as a runner. And then we're going to start having a conversation about how much do you want him running? This is the inevitable conversation that you have, because unlike, it's going to be very appetizing to create design.
Alexander Madison.